For this example, we're going to look at a complete redox reaction, so where we have a reduction and an oxidation half reaction, but we're still going to follow our steps in the exact same order that we did before. So our 6 steps balancing using redox, we're going to go in the same order. The only thing that's going to be a little different is step 4, because we have to balance the electrons and make sure that the reduction and oxidation reaction have the same number. So for this example, we're going to start by balancing all except O and H. So we start same thing with step 1. And we're going to have to balance the iodines. So over here, we're going to have to add a 2 because I've got I2. The chlorines, there's just 1 each on each side of the arrow, so we're balanced there. So we can move on to step 2, assign oxidation numbers. So start with the obvious ones like I2. That's an element, it's 0. Cl minus is a monoatomic ion, so it's -1. And then we can assign the oxygens. For the chlorate ion, the net charge is -1. So 3 times -2 for the oxygen gives me -6. So the chlorine's got to be +5 to give me a net charge of -1. Okay, and then for the iodate ion, same thing. Net charge is -1. 3 times -2 oxygens gives me -6. So the iodine's got to be a +5. Now, we've assigned the oxidation numbers. Next step is determine the Leo and Ger half reaction. So in this case, we will see both. Where do we see an increase in an oxidation number? If you look at the iodine, it goes from 0 up to +5. So this is lose electrons oxidation. The chlorine goes from +5 down to -1. It's reduced. So this is a gain electron reduction. For each of these iodine to go from 0 up to +5, it requires a loss of 5 electrons. That's per iodine. But because I have 2 of them, that gives me a total of 10 electrons. Gain electrons reduction, chlorine goes from +5 to -1. So this is a gain of 6 electrons. Okay, now here's where step 4 differs a little bit because it's not just a half reaction, we have both. So remember, total electrons gained equals total electrons lost. So we have to balance these 2 half reactions so that the number of electrons is the same. Now in this case, we've got 10 electrons in one and we have 6 in the other. So what's the lowest common multiple we can find for 6 and 10? Which in this case is going to be 30. So we have to multiply our half reactions to give us a total of 30 electrons. So what do I need to multiply the oxidation by? 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. So everything that's part of this reaction, this half reaction, I'm going to multiply by 3. So this becomes 3I2. The 2 here becomes a 6. Okay, my reduction half reaction, what do we have to multiply 6 by to give us 30? 5. So I'm going to multiply everything in the reduction reaction by 5. 5 and 5. Okay, the electrons now, so I've got 30 electrons here, 30 electrons here. Electrons gained equals electrons lost, so the electrons cancel. Okay, this is what we mean by balance the electrons. We want it so that they cancel out. So we're not going to show 30 on one side and 30 on the other. We just cancel those out. Step 5, we balance the charge. So is this an acidic or basic solution? It's acidic, so I need to add hydrogens to balance my charge. So when we balance the charge, we want to add it up. So if you look on this side, you've got 5 chlorates, each with a -1. The iodine is a charge of 0, so the total charge on this side is -5. So total charge, -5. On this side, we have 5 times -5 plus, or sorry, 5 times -1 plus 6 times -1. So the total charge is -11. Because it's acidic, we can add hydrogen to whichever side we want to balance it. So we're going to want to add it to the more negative side. So how many hydrogens do I need to add? We need to add 6H plus. And then that gives me a total charge on this side of -5. Our last step is we need to balance O's and H's. So I just added 6 hydrogen to the product side. On the reactant side, I don't have any hydrogen at all. So I can add, sorry, running out of room here. I can add 3 H2Os to balance the hydrogens. Double check that your oxygens are balanced. So I've got 3 plus 15. Here I've got 18 plus 6. So the oxygens are also balanced as well.